Hi everybody, my name is Anya and I'm the digital arts teacher at Blue Line Arts, and today we're going to do a little project if you're, stuck inside and bored, but this is a really fun project if you're just looking for some art to do. You obviously need an iPad and one that is compatible with the Procreate program. And today I'm going to be creating this mountain scene up in the upper left-hand corner. And I'm going to create a canvas that's the square size, which is the second one down. And I'm going to make sure that I'm on the technical pen. And first I'm going to create an oval, but first you get to choose what color you want. I like this kind of lilac color. I think it's just really pretty. I'm going to create a giant oval. And that's the perfect size I want for this page. And I'm going to do something called the color fill, which you just drag the color into the shape and it completely fills it. So now I'm going to create kind of this sunset kind of gradient. So I'm going to use a darker color, kind of like this deep purple. And I'm going to go to the airbrush, using the soft airbrush. And I'm going to make it kind of a big brush so I just have easier control over it. And we're just going to keep kind of going up with less and less pressure. And now we have this kind of gradient, and I'm going to use the blending tool just to kind of smooth everything out. And again, we want this kind of big, so that way we have a nice little gradient. Now I'm going to do the top of the gradient. I'm going to get a kind of lighter, almost kind of lilac color. And I'm just going to blend it like I did with this. And we kind of just want an even blending so that it's kind of very smooth. So now I'm going to merge those layers, and we now have them on the oval. So I'm going to merge them all, and now we have this nice little oval shape. So first, I'm going to draw myself some mountains, and I'm going to use the technical pen again. I'm going to use black, and you guys can choose whatever thickness you want. I like to use kind of a medium thickness just so I know what I'm drawing. And I'm going to make sure that this layer that I'm on is a clipping mask, so that way we can't go past the oval. So I'm going to draw some mountains. And I'm going to use the quick line, which is an easy way to make really straight lines. And you can always edit them. That way you have these perfect little mountain peaks. You guys can draw them any way you want, but I find that this is the easiest way for doing kind of a stylized mountain scene like we're doing. And I'm just going to make sure all the lines are straight. And you guys can do 2 mountains, 3 mountains, 4 mountains. It doesn't matter. So now I'm going to do kind of this squiggle going down the mountain on all the mountains. And that's going to create a shaded side and a light side, which is going to make our job a lot easier when we're trying to make these stylized mountains. So now that we have our mountains, I'm going to create a moon. And I'm going to do that by doing the quick shape again. And instead of having an ellipse, I'm going to create a circle. And I'm going to move that circle so that it's somewhere in the middle. And it's kind of setting behind the mountains. I'm going to redo that circle. I'm not very happy with that. I'm actually going to create another layer and do the circle on that. That way it's easier to erase, and that way we don't have to erase our entirety of our work. So it's up to you where you want to put your moon. I like to do it kind of in the center so it makes it look like it's going up over the top of the peaks. So now that we have that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making craters in the moon. So I like to make them all different little shapes and sizes. That way it kind of looks natural, but we're doing a stylized rendition of the moon, so it doesn't have to look perfect. It just needs to get the point across that it's craters. So now I'm going to create like little lines on like two sides of the craters, and that's going to help us make these look three-dimensional. And it's really fun to do, and I will show you what I mean in just a second. Let me clean up a little bit of that ink. So now we have our craters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to color fill all of these. And in order to color fill it, I have to make sure all the shapes are enclosed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on all of my mountains. A really easy way to do that with an oval is by creating an arc with the quicklime tool. Okay, so now that we have our drawings done and everything is enclosed, I'm going to make sure I'm on the right layer, which I am, and I'm going to start color filling. So you can make the mountains any color you want, but to complement the purple, I like to do kind of like a nice blue color. So I'm going to choose this blue for the darker side of the mountains, like that. And you just drop them right in. And then I'm going to choose kind of a lighter blue for the other sides of the mountains. And now we have our mountains done. So, perfect. And now I'm going to create snow on the mountains. So I like to do kind of like this nice little stylized looking snow where it just kind of goes like that. These little squigglies. You don't have to do it this way if you don't want. You can always just like make like little peaks of snow. You can make like little dots of snow, however you feel comfortable doing it. But I like to do it this way. So now that we have that, I'm going to merge these layers so that it's just a lot easier for us to manage. Sometimes it's a little finicky, but I think we just got it. So now, you see how the moon, the bottom half of it, is kind of interfering with our picture of the mountains? What we're going to do is we're just going to go in and erase right here, because we really don't need this part. That way it looks like the moon is behind the mountains. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fill the moon. And I'm going to do that. And it's a lot easier if we merge these two together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to color drop this in. And I'm going to start color dropping in all these gray colors. So I like to do kind of a darker gray for the shadows. We can go a little darker than that. You can even go black if you wanted to. And you just color drop it carefully to where you want it. For little areas, I suggest you zoom in and then zoom back out, like what I'm doing. And then now we're going to create kind of a lighter, we want kind of a gray that's in between these two grays. So we want something kind of like this. Which is perfect. So now we have our moon. And now I'm going to add highlights to the moon, just like I did with the mountains. And I'm going to use kind of a lighter gray. I'm not going to necessarily use white, just because it's a little bit more abrasive. And I'm just going to create kind of light wherever I think light would enter onto the moon. And I'm just going to kind of trace these, and they don't have to be perfect or exact. And now we have our moon. So now we can add a little bit of shadows to the moon, and now we kind of want to merge these layers. So now we have this removable drawing. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add using the airbrush, and I don't want it too big, but I just want to create a little bit of shading right here, just so we can portray that the moon is a little bit darker than down there. And we're just gonna erase. We're gonna redo that. I like to use it just to portray that there's a little bit of shadow, but not a ton. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I just think it adds just kind of like a little bit of a dimension to it. And then you can add a little bit of light on top of where the moon is. If you want to add a little dimension, we can also do that with the mountains. And we're going to use a darker blue. And just like really lightly, you don't have to do it super dark. And I like to just add a little bit of it. And then I'm going to create another oval on top of this with a nice thick inking pen. I like to use the technical pen again, and we can always just raise it to the biggest size that there is. And I'm going to create an oval, and I want it to match as closely as possible to the other oval that I've made. So I think that looks about good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little sheet of stars. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but it's a nice little way to make it look like a starry night scene, or the aurora borealis is a really cool way you can make it look like that. And I like to do kind of big stars. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a clipping mask and put that right there. And now we are done, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this project. Oh, don't forget to sign your name. Obviously with a inking pen, not with a star pen. And do it on another layer that is not a clipping mask. So there you go. That's my name. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Come back for more videos and more little lessons on digital art. And bye!